doing, everybody? So I just recently hit 1,000 subscribers, and by the way, I can't thank you all more. That I'm so grateful. I can't believe I even hit close to 1,000. When I started this like a little over a year ago, I really didn't think much of it, and then here I am with over 1,000 subscribers a year and a half or so later. But in celebration of that, I decided, let's do something fun. Let's do something interesting I haven't done before, and I had never done a Q&A before, and I figured it would help, if there's a disconnect, help you get to know me better as the years go on, because I'll probably end up doing this channel for who knows how long. But anyways, I threw it out there on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, if you want to send in your questions, and I'll answer them on video. And I got a lot more questions than I thought I was going to get, but I'm going to get to all of them. Some of them do overlap a little, so if they do, I'll bring it up as the questions go on. But I'm definitely going to answer as many of them as I can, so let's get right into it. Also, a quick side note, most people that did ask me questions have their own channels or Twitter pages, so I'll probably leave all of them in the links in the description if you want to check them out after this. Jared Poirier asked, what's a technically bad movie you would still recommend watching? What's the coolest experience you've had as a result of starting a YouTube channel? And what one of your videos was the most fun to make? That is a good question. To answer the first one, he actually told me I wasn't allowed to say The Room, which is disappointing because I love The Room. But if I had to pick another one, it would probably be the late 80s film Vampire's Kiss starring Nicolas Cage, where Nicolas Cage gets bit by somebody, so he thinks he's turning into a vampire, so he does a bunch of weird stuff in the film, but he's not actually turning into a vampire at all. And it's just classic Nicolas Cage. You could use a bunch of Nicolas Cage, references in this, The Wicker Man, Con Air, Face Off. There's so many movies that are technically bad, but I would still recommend watching just because they're so bad it's good. However, as far as coolest experiences go, just meeting everybody that I've met so far along this journey, but also just doing collaborations, because I didn't really do a lot of collaborations my first year or so on YouTube. Not really had a reason, it just wasn't a thing I did. But, I've done a lot more in 2018 I've done one with John from The Real Talk, that was really fun. I also did one with Amari and Ryan O'Toole with the MCU, which was that was probably my favorite of the collaborations I've done, but I have so many more lined up in the future. I'm not going to stop doing them. I probably should do more on my actual channel, because as of right now, I've kind of just done ones on other people's channels, but I wouldn't mind doing them on my channel as well, so I'll probably end up talking to people of that in the future. And the most fun videos I've made is probably, this one's obviously a candidate, but other than this, I really enjoyed doing my Pixar ranking I did, because I just had to go back and rewatch all the Pixar films leading up to Incredibles 2. And also, I really enjoyed making my intro for my Star Wars The Last Jedi review, even though it didn't do that well, just because I wasn't, that well known back then. But I liked the intro I did. It just cracked me up the way I did it. So if you haven't seen that, feel free to go back and look it up. It's kind of funny, but the movie itself, I don't really feel the same about it as I did back then, but I still liked it a little bit. Next question comes from Amari Points, and he says, what do you think the title Avengers 4 will be? It depends. I don't really care that much about what it's called as long as it's a good movie, but I've heard Endgame's thrown out there, that could be okay, or Disassembled, or just anything that's not too cheesy or whatnot. But, as long as the movie's good, it could have really any stupid title at once. Jared Buckendahl asked, what's your go-to snack when attending a cinematic adventure? Weirdly enough, I really don't like to eat that much when I'm actually going out to the movies. It has nothing to do with the price of food and drinks. It's just I'm not really a big eater. If you ever watch a movie with me, I don't really eat or drink that much. I don't know. It's just maybe it throws me off. I'm trying to pay attention to the movie, and people are really loud with their eating and their drinking, so I kind of just try not to contribute to that. But if I am going to eat something, I do eat nachos a lot more than popcorn and anything else, but I usually don't eat that much. But if I had to pick one, it would go with nachos. One of my really good buddies, Rama over at Rama's Screen, asked me, what are your top 5 favorite action movies of all time? I like so many action movies, and a lot of the ones I like a lot, the ones of all time are the more popular ones, but I really like Heat, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Aliens, Terminator 2, and Die Hard. The first one and the third one. I'm not a big fan of any of the other Die Hards, but probably those. As a franchise, it's okay, but I like the first Die Hard and the third one the most. Another one of my good friends, Brady, asked, is Corey really in the house? Yes. Yes, he is. Technodrome406 asked, what's your least favorite movie? Who's your biggest celebrity crush? And your top 3 best and worst movies of 2018. Plus, would I rather sit through the Emoji Movie or the 50 Shades trilogy? My least favorite movie, ever? The ones that come to mind are stuff like Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star, which is this really horrible movie with Nick Swardson. It's actually written by Adam Sandler as well as Nick Swardson, and he's like a porn star. He's trying to be a porn star, but he has a really small penis, and Nothing in it is entertaining at all. It's really just one of like, the worst experiences I've ever seen watching a film. That and Birdemic. Those movies are so bad it's funny though, because they're just horrible special effects. But other than those two, maybe like Son of the Mask. Favorite celebrity crushes? I mean, Karen Gillan's always been one of my number ones, even though she completely refuses to meet me, and I've tried to meet her at like 4 or 5 different conventions. She always cancels. But other than that, I really like Dua Lipa. Musician, she's kind of like the type I always kind of go for. And also, I really like Lily James. She's kind of like underrated, but she's always been one of those ones I've always really liked. And as far as top 3 best and worst of 2018 so far, I'm not going to give them any order, but I will go with Hereditary, A Quiet Place, and Avengers Infinity War as the best 3, and Open House, Escape Plan 2, Hades, and A Wrinkle in Time was my bottom 3. And between the 50 Shades trilogy and the Emoji Movie, although the Emoji Movie is pretty awful and the 50 Shades trilogy is pretty awful, I think I just go with the Emoji Movie because there's less movie to watch. You know, there's 1 movie compared to 3. Daniel over at Half Cocked asked me, if you went to IHOP for the new burgers, would you get unlimited fries or a side of pancakes? Honestly, another fun fact, I really don't like burgers that much. Like, if I had to choose, like, I had to have them, like, I guess I'd be fine with it. But, I don't know. I mean, I like fries and I like pancakes, but, unlimited fries sounds pretty good, so I'll go with fries. As long as there's unlimited ketchup and honey mustard and ranch. Jamie Hughes asked, worst film you've ever seen? Like I said, I kind of covered that already, but yeah, it's like a toss-up between Bucky Larson, Born to Be a Star, Birdemic, all them. They're just all horrible movies. There's definitely probably worse movies, but of the ones I forced myself to see, those are my worst. Steve and Adam over at Screencrawlers asked me some really good questions. They said, favorite Bill Murray movie excluding Ghostbusters? Christian Bale versus Russell Crowe, bare knuckle fight to the death, who wins? And you must erase either every Schwarzenegger movie or every Stallone movie from existence. Which lot do you erase? Wow, those are some loaded questions. But to answer the first one, as far as Bill Murray goes, other than Ghostbusters, I'd probably be... I really liked him in Lost in Translation. That's another classic film by Bill Murray that kind of doesn't get talked about as much because it's like a more serious film. But other than that, you know, Groundhog Day is a classic. I really liked his part in Space Jam. And Scrooge is another good film that he's done. And he's also done smaller stuff like Osmosis Jones and stuff like that. But he's done a lot of good stuff. And as far as Christian Bale versus Russell Crowe, bare knuckle fight to the death, I guess it would depend on which version of Russell Crowe and Christian Bale you're referring to. Because if it was like Christian Bale the Machinist versus Russell Crowe as Maximus and Gladiator, it would be no question that Russell Crowe would just to kick his ass completely. But if it's like Christian Bale as he was in like the Dark Knight films versus Russell Crowe in Body of Lies, I think Christian Bale would have the edge. But if we're just going like normal, like not method acting, I think Russell Crowe would kick his ass. And as far as erasing every Schwarzenegger movie or Stallone movie, that's a really tough question because I enjoy both of their filmography so much. But I think I'd have to go with Schwarzenegger because I've enjoyed more Schwarzenegger films overall compared to Stallone's. Because Stallone has a lot of movies that just really aren't that good. I mean, Schwarzenegger has a couple, but I think if you collectively add up each films, like each actor has, I think I've liked Schwarzenegger films over Stallone's films. Although it would be unfortunate you wouldn't have Rocky and Judge Dredd and all them, but I just couldn't probably live in a world without Terminator, Total Recall, and all these other films by Schwarzenegger. Another one of my good buddies, Fraser Jubb, asked, can you do your best impression of a groundskeeper Willie? I'm really horrible with impressions, but I always make funny comments to do with Groundskeeper Willie. So like, him and I also talk a lot on PlayStation. I say comments as Groundskeeper Willie. So I'm always like, you use me, Skinner! You use me! And like, aye laddie, like, turn it to Math Safari. And it's like, and you'll be teaching Willie. So yeah, I probably just lost all of my audience in Scotland and the UK. But anyways, moving on. Logan Battles, a new friend of mine actually, asked, what's the worst film you've seen so far this year? Probably A Wrinkle in Time. There was probably just nothing I really enjoyed about the film other than the visuals. Everything else about that film was just really piss poor. But yeah, I don't really recommend that film at all. Samuel over at Samuel One World Reviews asked, what was the film that made you love movies, and what was your favorite film of 2018 so far? I mean, as a kid, I probably Toy Story just because of it was just so innovative as a kid, just seeing this great animation, this great kids movie come to life in that way. But as I got older, probably like films like, well, a lot of Guillermo del Toro films, and like Devil's Backbone, Hellboy. He's probably one of my favorite directors. But As far as favorite film of 2018 so far, I mean, it's I kind of just mentioned that I didn't put them in any order, but if I had to, probably would be Avengers Infinity War, even if that is kind of like an obvious answer if you like superhero films. Another good friend of mine, Zach Pope, asked, favorite trilogy of all time, favorite sex scene, favorite superhero growing up, famous movie you haven't seen but you need to, and who's more cute, Venom or Bane? That is a lot of questions, and good questions out of that. But, favorite trilogy of all time, I mean, I don't know, I mean, it's kind of a cop-out to say the original Star Wars trilogy, but other than those, in more recent times, the Nolan Batman films as a whole I really enjoyed. I also really like the new Planet of the Apes trilogy, the Caesar trilogy, whatever you want to call it. I really like those a lot. That's probably one that I think later on, and as the years go on, people will realize that really was such a great trilogy. Favorite sex scene? I'm going to go with Team America World Police, just because of how ridiculous the sex scene with the puppets in that film is. Favorite superhero growing up? Another fun fact, I'm actually like a huge Spider-Man fan, if you couldn't tell by, all my social media stuff when I do post about it. He's been my favorite superhero pretty much as long as I can remember, at least 3-4 years old. I'm 24 now. I have like boxes and boxes and boxes at my mother's house with Spider-Man comics from range from like really, really old, like the very old ones, like the very first couple issues of Amazing Spider-Man. And I have like at least like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different other Spider-Man comics. Like I went through, I mean, I know I at least have almost all of the first 100 Ultimate Spider-Mans in boxes over there. I do need to get them and bring them over here, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, Spider-Man's always been my biggest, superhero favorite growing up. As far as famous movies I haven't seen, but I need to, I've actually never seen 2001: A Space Odyssey. I've just never gotten around to it. I have no explanation for why. It's just one of those Stanley Kubrick films I just haven't seen yet. Other than that, probably The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, the Clint Eastwood film, just because I'm not like a huge fan of Westerns. If you haven't noticed by the fact, the severe lack of it on my channel whatsoever, and the fact I never bring them up. But those are probably the only two I can think of that are like the really famous ones I haven't seen yet. And who's more cute, Venom or Bane? Fun fact, that photo right here is a signed photo of Tom Hardy as Bane. So I like Tom Hardy a lot to have him on my wall, and I got that from a Comic-Con a long time ago. But I still would probably go with Venom just because I like Venom more as a character. I'm not really into bald guys, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we'll just go with that as the answer. I really like him. I hope Venom actually ends up being a good film, but we'll go with Venom for now. Josh over at Everything Movies asked, favorite A24 release? That's a really tough one because I really enjoy A24 as a whole. But if, what comes to mind is usually like The Disaster Artist, The Witch, The Lobster. Spring Breakers is up there kind of, even though it's really dumb. But probably those. If I had to pick, probably The Disaster Artist, just because I'm a big fan of The Room, just because it's ridiculous. And it's a good movie. But the more conventional ones are, like those. And Ex Machina's up there too. But yeah, I watch a lot of A24. All Access Movies asked, most anticipated film of 2018, the one you entered the year with, and the one you're looking forward to the most currently. I think like most people, the one entering the year I was most anticipating was Avengers Infinity War. But as far as the rest of the year, probably Venom and that new Drew Goddard movie, Bad Times at the El Royale. That just looks like it has like a stacked cast, and it looks like it's going to be really good. But those two... Maybe Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse just to see how Miles Morales and all that turns out. But other than those, probably maybe Bumblebee. I think Venom's probably my number one, though, just because I want to see if that ends up being a shit show or not. Austin Hammett Reviews asks, what is something you would recommend for people to get to 1,000 subscribers? Join the Illuminati, sell off your firstborn child, but no, seriously, just interact with a bunch of people. As generic as advice as that is, just befriend people in this community. Everybody's pretty friendly as far as I know. There's only like one or two bad eggs in the bunch. But other than that, just keep putting out the best content you can. If, people will notice, people will notice if you make good content, I guess. I think my content's okay, but some people seem to really enjoy it. Some don't. You're going to have your good and your bad days. Some videos are not going to have a lot of views. Sometimes they are, just the way YouTube is. But yeah, just befriend people in the community. It's really simple. The more people you befriend, I guess the higher your sub count gets. I don't really know. I've only been doing this for like a little over a year. But yeah, that's about the best I could do. That's what I did anyways. Jack Benner at Jack Benner's Movie Reviews asked, Star Wars Episode 9 or Avengers 4? What's your favorite Best Picture winner of the decade so far? And what's the worst film you've ever seen? Of those two, I'd probably go with Avengers 4, just because I'm really not anticipating Star Wars Episode 9 as much as I was going in, from Episode 7 to Episode 8 with That Last Jedi. I mean, Star Wars isn't going downhill, but I'm just not as excited for it as I used to be, so I'm going to have to go with Avengers 4. But the best pictures last decade or so, probably The Shape of Water or maybe even Spotlight, because I'm usually not like the biggest fan of whichever wins Best Picture. The ones I usually want win Best Picture ends up losing to whatever these movies are, because I'm not a huge fan of Birdman. Argo was good, but there was other movies I like more. The Artist I wasn't like a huge fan of. Moonlight was okay, but yeah, I'd have to go with that. And and I already answered the last one, but another good friend of mine, Dylan Brown, asked, "What's your favorite movie that before you saw it you were convinced it was going to be horrible?" When you asked this question, the first two movies that came to mind were Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, the sequel to Jumanji. I thought that was going to be really dumb, even if it had some good actors and actresses in it, but I actually ended up having a really fun time when I saw it. But that one and Split's the other one I thought was going to just be really bad, because M. Night Shyamalan's kind of been on a downward spiral pretty much for the last decade or so. So I wasn't expecting anything really out of it, and it actually ended up surprising me how much I enjoyed Split, and I'm actually really looking forward to Glass when it comes out. My friend Anthony over at the Silver Screen Analysis asked, favorite on-screen duo? What movie most reminds you of summertime? And favorite cameo/supporting character in film? Favorite on-screen duo? I've always really liked J and K from Men in Black. I've always just really enjoyed Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones together. Even when it was Josh Brolin and Will Smith in the third film, I still thought it was really fun. But other than them, I mean, maybe Chewbacca and Han Solo, and I mean that's a really obvious one. But movie that most reminds you of summertime, probably The Sandlot, just because it makes me reminisce about playing summertime baseball with my friends. And favorite cameo supporting character in film, I mean it has to be Stan Lee. I mean Stan Lee probably is like the king of cameos. I mean Stan Lee was super nice when I met him, so it was really cool to actually meet Stan Lee and talk to him for like a very brief moment. So I really like Stan Lee. I'm really glad that he's still around for now. But yeah, definitely has to be Stan Lee. Rudy over at Rudy's Movie Reviews, another good friend of mine, asked, who is your favorite director and what movie would you consider your favorite of all time? Now, it's really like a tie as far as who's my favorite director is, because like I mentioned previously, Guillermo del Toro is probably one of my favorites, and I also really love Edgar Wright. But, I mean, if I had to choose between the two, probably Guillermo del Toro, because, I mean, although I love Edgar Wright, I think just Guillermo del Toro's films are on a whole like different level. But as far as greatest movies of all time, probably Pan's Labyrinth's up there. But speaking of Guillermo del Toro, and Terminator 2, that's another one that I've always I can just rewatch over and over. But yeah, Pan's Labyrinth and Terminator 2, even though they're vastly different. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Ryan O'Toole, another great friend of mine. He asked, "What's your most anticipated film for the rest of the year? Spielberg or Scorsese? Who's your favorite female MCU hero? Who's your favorite male MCU hero? And if I could pick and own a company from Disney, which one? Marvel, Star Wars, or Pixar?" Most anticipated film of the year, like I said earlier, Venom. Spielberg, Scorsese. Now that's a tough one because both of them have some really great films, but I think I have to go Steven Spielberg just because he has so many classics that I don't think I could live without. Although it would be hard to live without a lot of the gangster films that Scorsese's put out. But I think I could live without those if it meant I had the Spielberg films. Favorite female MCU hero definitely has to be Scarlet Witch. I mean, she's super OP, even though she's kind of nerfed in the Marvel movies, but I hope she gets her time to shine more and more, because Infinity War, she was pretty badass, but she was a little nerfed in some parts because they didn't use her as much. But favorite male MCU hero probably has to be Chris Hemsworth, Thor. But other than him, probably Captain America, but definitely Thor. I mean, Thor's probably had the most character development, I think, of the big Avengers, just because he's had the biggest arc. I mean, he doesn't really have anybody anymore, if going off of Infinity War, because he literally has literally nobody. But he still manages to be fun and goofy and awesome. But if I had to pick a company from Disney to own, Marvel, Star Wars, or Pixar, I'd have to go with Marvel, just because Star Wars is kind of a shit show right now, and Pixar. Although I like Pixar, I think owning the MCU would be a lot more fun, and knowing all the ins and outs and the secrets that I'm not allowed to know right now because I don't, I'm not affiliated with them in any way. So I'd have to go with the MCU as a superhero film fan. So yeah, that was all my questions I got from my Q&A. Thank you so much to everybody for asking these questions. They were actually really fun to answer. Maybe I'll do this more often. Let me know in the comments if I should do this more often. I'm not going to do it every 1,000 subscribers, something crazy like that. But yeah, let me know. Let me know your thoughts on whatever, questions I answered. Hopefully my answers were decent and you didn't judge me too hard for them. But yeah, thank you so much. I really thank you once again for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers. I think I'm getting closer and closer to 1,100 now, which is crazy. But yeah, that's my channel. I'm really thankful for anybody that watches my videos and subscribes. But yeah, until the next video, I'll see you guys later.